Shin-ge-bis, and how he fooled the north wind. Long, long ago, when only a few people lived on Earth, there was a fishing tribe in the far north. They found the best fish not in summer, but in the frozen, lifeless lands that no one dared to visit during winter. This place, known as the Land of Ice, had a ruler whom the native people called Ka-bib-on-oka, which meant North Wind. Ka-bib-on-oka was old and harsh, with a heart as frozen as his kingdom. Though his land stretched endlessly across the top of the world, it was never enough for him. He wanted the entire earth to be covered in ice, every river frozen, every tree dead, every blade of grass buried in snow. Yet Ka-bib-on-oka wasn't all-powerful. Despite his fierce storms and biting breath, he was no match for the south wind known as Shawondasi, who came from the land of sunflowers. In the land of Shawondasi, it was always summer. His gentle breath made violets bloom in the forests, painted wild roses red across the valleys, and filled the air with the songs of doves. He ripened melons and grapes, gave corn its sweetness, and made the earth lush and joyful. When summer began to fade in the north, Shawondasi would climb a hill, light his long-stemmed pipe, and drift into dreams. As the smoke from his pipe wrapped around hills and lakes like a soft veil, the world would grow calm and quiet. No wind would blow, and no storm clouds would appear. In this peaceful stillness, the native people enjoyed their summer. It was during this time that the fishermen went north, casting their nets into the waters. But they always knew Shawondasi could fall asleep at any moment, and then Ka-bib-on-oka would seize the chance to return. One morning, the fishermen awoke to find a thin layer of ice on the lake and shimmering frost on their rooftops. The ice grew thicker, and heavy snow began to fall. Prairie wolves appeared in white winter coats, their distant howls echoing through the cold. Ka-bib-on-oka is coming, the fishermen cried. We must leave before he arrives. But one man, the diver Shin-ge-bis, only laughed. Shin-ge-bis always laughed, whether he caught huge fish or none at all. People said nothing could bring him down. There are still good fish beneath the ice, he told them. I'll make a hole and fish with a line. Let old Ka-bib-on-oka come. I'm not afraid. The others stared at him in disbelief. True, Shin-ge-bis had some magical powers. He could turn himself into a duck, which is why he was called the diver. But what good was magic against the mighty north wind? Don't be foolish, they pleaded. Ka-bib-on-oka is stronger than you know. With one breath he uproots trees. He can freeze a roaring river solid. Turning into a duck won't save you. Maybe if you became a bear or a fish. Otherwise, you stand no chance. But Shin-ge-bis only laughed harder. My beaver brother gave me this warm fur coat, and my muskrat cousin lent me these gloves. My lodge is filled with firewood. Let Ka-bib-on-oka come. I'll show him what real warmth is. The fishermen sadly left him behind. They usually loved Shin-ge-bis's laughter, but now they feared they'd never hear it again. Once alone, Shin-ge-bis got to work. He stored dry twigs and pine cones where snow couldn't reach them, ready to build a fire in his lodge. The snow deepened, but the frozen surface let him walk easily. He cut holes in the ice and caught many fish. That evening he returned home, singing a little tune he'd just made up. Ka-bib-on-oka, you old frozen fool, try if you can to make me your tool. You think your power will never fade, but I'm no less mortal than you. I'm not afraid. Ka-bib-on-oka heard this bold song as he strode across the snowy land. Hur, hur, he growled. While even the wild geese and white cranes flee south, who dares sing in my land? I'll crush him tonight. I'll freeze his fire and blow him away. Hur, hur. That night, Shin-ge-bis sat by a roaring fire in his lodge, cooking fresh fish and rubbing his hands with joy. The flames were so strong the wood could last an entire moon. Kızılderililer didn't count time in hours or weeks, but in moons. As the fish sizzled, Shin-ge-bis smiled. His friends were foolish to leave. There were still so many fish. And as for Ka-bib-on-oka, he might be powerful, but even he was just a being like any other. He may endure cold better than I do, he thought, but I bet he can't take the heat. That thought made him laugh, and he sang again. Ka-bib-on-oka, your hands made of ice. Come and try freezing me. Won't that be nice? Blow with your might, storm if you dare. As long as my fire burns, I won't care. Suddenly a blizzard struck. Snow flew sideways through the air, but the thick hide walls of the lodge kept the cold out. Down the chimney, roared Ka-bib-on-oka. His voice was so fierce it could freeze the hearts of anyone who heard it. But Shin-ge-bis only chuckled. It was actually nice to hear a voice in the lonely wild. Ha ha! How are you, Ka-bib-on-oka? Careful, or you'll strain your throat shouting. With another roar, the wind shook the lodge, and the buffalo hide door flapped wildly. Come in then, Shin-ge-bis called. You must be cold. Warm yourself by the fire. Furious that someone dared mock him, Ka-bib-on-oka burst into the lodge. His breath was like ice, swirling like fog around the room. But Shin-ge-bis just added another log to the fire, and the flames blazed even hotter. He stretched out his legs and pretended not to notice his guest. Then he glanced over and couldn't help laughing. Ka-bib-on-oka was sweating. His icy hair was melting. He looked like a snowman left too long in the spring sun. Come closer, warm your bones, said Shin-ge-bis with a sly grin. I'm sure you're frozen stiff. Ka-bib-on-oka fled the lodge, stumbling into the cold night. The chill revived him a bit, and he climbed to the peak of the land of ice once more. Though he hadn't frozen Shin-ge-bis, he took his rage out on everything else. Wherever he stepped, ice followed. Trees fell in his wake, foxes ran to hide, and coyotes searched for shelter. After regaining some strength, he returned and shouted down the chimney, "Come outside, let's wrestle on the snow and see who's master of this land." Shin-ge-bis thought for a moment. Fire weakens him and I'm warm-blooded, he said. Maybe it's time I teach him a lesson. He stepped out and faced the north wind. What followed was a battle like none had seen before. They wrestled through the snow all night long. Foxes peeked from their dens, watching in awe. The longer they fought, the warmer Shin-ge-bis became, while Ka-bib-on-oka weakened. His icy breath no longer stung, only brushed past like a soft breeze. At last, as the sun rose in the east, they broke apart, both panting heavily. Ka-bib-on-oka gave a sorrowful groan, turned, and fled. But even in the farthest corner of the north, in the land of the White Rabbit, he could still hear the echoes of Shin-ge-bis's laughter. And so laughter and courage defeated the mighty north wind.